Vampires are notorious for earning their immortality by drinking the blood of their human victims, but present-day vampires have adapted. They evolved their tastes and lifespan to fit the modern age. Sia Lee mulls over her life as she walks around the city. Lugging a big red suitcase, people fawn over her beauty. With her pale skin, big eyes, and statuesque body, passers-by mistake her for a model, almost too perfect to be real. Maybe she's a vampire. Well, they are not wrong. Sia picks up a fashion magazine and admires herself on the cover. She is both a model and a vampire, having descended from an ancient ancestral line of vampires. But unlike her ancestors, who had to resort to violent means to nourish their undying bodies, modern vampires like Sia only have to touch their victims to absorb their energy. With this, they can easily blend into society, although their beauty makes them stand out. Their feeding also has a minimal effect on their victims' health. This, however, comes with a price. Modern vampires cannot enjoy the same immortality as their ancestors did. Speaking of non-violent vampires, Sia is reminded of her father, a famous pastor. Her father preaches self-discipline and harmony, which he naturally imposes on his family. For years, Sia had to follow a rigorous diet and restrain herself from overindulging in the energy of her churchmates. Sia also had to do a daily report of all the people she had touched, including the time and duration. Tired of all her father's rules, Sia ran away from home to live independently. She never chose to be a vampire anyway. Why should she punish herself for being one? Goodbye, old church aunties with their dull energies. Sia grabs her phone and looks for her realtor's number. Eager to have her own house, Sia bumps into a handsome man whose belongings scatter all over the floor. She quickly apologizes and offers the man help, which he declines. Their hands accidentally touch as they both reach for a book. Sia's eyes widen. This man's energy is unlike any other. Craving more of this delicious energy, she runs after the man, but gets blinded by sunlight. It's not that modern vampires get burned by sunlight, but it does make Sia sneeze relentlessly. Anyway, she continues her chase, and just when she's about to catch up, she trips over and falls. Suddenly, a little boy comes running past her. She tries to avoid touching the boy. Instead, she unintentionally pats the man's most treasured jewel and lands right in front of him. What a way to make a first impression. Sia picks herself up. Taking a deep breath, she musters a smile and again apologizes for her clumsiness. The man, however, doesn't return Sia's friendly gesture and instead accuses her of being his stalker. Someone has recently been following the man wherever he went and pretended to bump into him as an excuse to touch him, just like Sia did. Flustered, Sia admits that she did touch him on purpose, but it was her first time doing it. Did she just admit to being a stalker? The man warns Sia not to show herself to him again, or else he will really think she is his stalker. That's not fair, Sia thought. What a self-conceited man. At her new apartment, Sia's realtor shows her around and leaves after giving her the keys. As the door closes, her smile disappears as she melts to the ground. What an exhausting day it has been. Her legs throb from walking in high heels while pulling a large suitcase. What's worse is being accused as a stalker by that self-centered, gorgeous hunk. Sia stares at the hand which touched the man earlier. His energy is so pure it makes her hungry for more. But how would she be able to go near him now? A frustrated Sia posts on social media to gain some sympathy. Baryu, Sia's childhood friend, replies to her post with lightning speed. How did he even know that she had moved out? Now he's going to report to her mother all of her moves. This is why she could not trust childhood friends. The doorbell rings. It's the bellboy with the rest of her things. It's time to unpack and put everything into order. Sia calls her mom. It's still better if she hears everything directly from her. She updates her mother about her new place and asks about her father. Sia's mother warns her not to go back home in the meantime. Her rebellion caused her father to go into a rage-induced litany. Sia's mother reminds her to be very careful not to touch anyone she doesn't know. Well, she already did, and it didn't go quite well. Sia ends the call. Her parents still truly care about her even as she hurt them by leaving. But Sia is still her own person, and she wants to lead a better life than her father's eat to live philosophy. Sia opens one of the boxes delivered to her and finds it full of children's storybooks. These are not hers. She turns the box over and finds the recipient Jiho Shin. From room 301. The owner must be looking for his things, she thought. Sia goes to room 301 and rings the doorbell. A voice answers on the intercom, and Sia introduces herself as the neighbor. She informs the person on the other side that she wants to return a box mistakenly delivered to her room. After an awkwardly long period of silence, the voice responds, "Hey stalker, I told you to stay out of my way. It can't be, it's the man from a while ago." And now, he is even more convinced that Sia is his stalker. Jiho threatens to call the police on her, but Sia vehemently denies his accusation and points at his name on the box. He waves her off and asks her to leave the box on the doormat, but Sia demands that he go outside and get it from her. They should settle their differences now that they are neighbors. What Jiho lacks in social skills, he makes up for rudeness. He tells Sia to leave and do whatever she wants with the box before turning the intercom off. Unbelievable! Sia meets up with her vampire friends Baryu and Siwon and vents out all her pent-up anger. If not for Jiho's irresistible energy, she would have treated him brashly, just like he had treated her. Their conversation gets interrupted by a group of giggling fangirls asking for Baryu and Siwon's autographs. The two are famous members of the K-pop group Ornidge and are set to perform in their concert the following day. Baryu and Siwon shake the hands of their fans before they leave. Who can resist a free meal? Since modern vampires feed on human energy, they opt to go into the entertainment business to widen their exposure to people. It's a win-win situation. They get their valuable energy and their fans get entertained by their beauty. The three friends continue to banter as Baryu teases Sia by calling her Simba because of her voluminous hair. She's also made fun of for running away from home to hunt for more palatable prey, such as an old-school vampire. Since she is so hooked by Jiho's energy, he might be her first prey. Baryu and Siwon stand up to leave so they can rest before their upcoming concert, but not before planning a housewarming party at Sia's new apartment. Sia briefly considers Baryu's advice to pursue Jiho, but she stops as she remembers Jiho's rudeness. Never mind him, there's still plenty of fish in the sea. Later that night, Sia wakes up from a dream about pork barbecue and sees Jiho in her room. He said he didn't want to see her anymore, but what is he doing in her room? Jiho looks at her with sensual eyes, grabs her hand, and demands she touch him. As her hand hovers closer and closer to Jiho's chest, an irritating beeping sound snaps her back to reality. At one of her modeling gigs, Sia ponders over her dream about Jiho. She hasn't been able to properly feed these past 3 days, with her running away and moving into a new home. Maybe that's why she had dreamt of Jiho's luscious energy that she had been craving since she touched his hand. Sia poses for the camera with a gorgeous hunk wrapped around her. This man's energy might save her appetite for Jiho's energy. She touches the male model's hand, anticipating a rush of delicious energy, but quickly gets disappointed. This energy is so bland it doesn't live up to the model's liveliness, and so is the next model, and the other. Nobody satisfied her insatiable craving for Jiho's delicious energy. Although the models did fill her up in the meantime, Jiho has spoiled her taste. Sia quickly dials Baryu and tells him of her craving as well as her loss of taste, but she uses fried chicken as a metaphor. She can't risk being teased again for dreaming about Jiho. Baryu tells her that if she craves chicken so much, maybe she should eat it again to satiate herself. Maybe he's right, there's no harm in trying. It's the last time she'll have to deal with Jiho anyway. Sia rings Jiho's doorbell with a peace offering in hand. Nobody answers the door, even as she pushes the doorbell repeatedly. Maybe nobody's home. She'll just come back next time. She turns her back to leave, but hears the door open. It's Jiho, so he is home. Jiho sprays the doorbell with disinfectant and scrubs it vigorously. With a threatening glare, Jiho returns to his apartment and slams the door. What in the world just happened? Frustrated with Jiho's weirdness, Sia asks Baryu and Siwon if she looks dirty. Actually, countless germs are living on human hands, Siwon quipped. Baryu offers Sia some fried chicken and beer to lift his friend's spirits. Sia instead gets all fired up with fury at the mention of fried chicken. She rants about Jiho while still using food as a metaphor. She almost slips up and blurts Jiho's name as she gets tipsier. Baryu and Siwon drop off a very drunk Sia at her new apartment. Sia fumbles with her apartment door when she is reminded of fried chicken again. come to think of it, that fried chicken is right next door. She rings Jiho's doorbell and knocks on his door, demanding he come out and face her. How dare he turn down a drop-dead gorgeous grown woman like her? When Jiho opens the door, Sia's mood suddenly changes. From being enraged, she's now dejected and confesses to Jiho that she can't stop thinking about him. She begs him to let her touch him for just this once and then faints. A disgusted Jiho grabs Sia by the collar and drags her into his apartment. Sia wakes up on a makeshift newspaper bed on the floor. Not remembering anything about the previous night, she sees her boots wrapped neatly in a plastic bag beside her. She then hears someone asking her if she's okay. It's Jiho. Now all her lost memories come rushing back. Embarrassed, she profusely asks Jiho for forgiveness and thanks him for not leaving her outside. Jiho tells her not to move from where she is and to remove her hand from the floor. He retorts that he had no choice since somebody would have reported to the police, and an investigation would mean more people would enter his apartment. Jiho almost vomits at the thought of all the germs these strangers would bring into his sterile home. Sia's eyes light up as she observes Jiho's behavior. Could it be? To confirm her suspicion, she touches a plant pot, which angers Jiho. He quickly sprays the pot with disinfectant and wipes it while reprimanding Sia for leaving her spot on the floor. Jiho has misophonia, the fear of germs. Sia menacingly approaches Jiho, who already has his disinfectant spray ready to attack her. She asks for forgiveness for forcing herself on him last night, then bids him goodbye. Of course, Sia can't open the door by herself because of her filthy hands, so Jiho opens it for her. Now's her chance. Sia rushes for the door and successfully puts her hand on Jiho's chest. She dashes for her apartment, punches the door key, and slams the door behind her. Success! The following morning, Jiho wakes up all sweaty from a nightmare he had about Sia. Repulsed by the contamination of his apartment the day before, Jiho goes into a cleaning frenzy, leaving his house partly clean. Now he feels so much better. However, he remembers Sia's hand on his chest, which sends a shiver down his spine. He picks up the same plant pot and firmly rubs it clean. Again, he finds comfort in knowing that disinfectants can easily remove all the filth. Meanwhile, Sia goes to her psychiatrist sister, Moran Lee, to learn how to cure Jiho's misophonia. Since misophonia is a disorder and not a disease, there is no way she can forcibly cure Jiho. He needs to first accept that he has a disorder, then be willing to undergo treatment. Satisfied with her discovery, Sia leaves her confused sister and goes to the nearby bookstore. There, she picks up a book on how to cure misophonia. It's the first step in understanding what Jiho is going through. Speaking of the devil, Sia finds Jiho browsing by the bookcase right beside her. She sees a mysterious woman in a ball cap touch Jiho's hand as he reaches for another book. Oh, Jiho is reminded of creepy Sia from his dream. He turns around to leave and sterilize his whole body, but the mysterious woman reaches out to him. Sia grabs the woman's arm and asks her why she keeps going after her boyfriend. Based on her looks and actions, this woman must be Jiho's real stalker. Sia warns the woman not to go near her prey, boyfriend again, which scares the woman away. Happy to have redeemed herself, Sia proudly points out that she really is not his stalker. Apologetic for his harshness towards Sia, he asks for her name. They haven't properly introduced themselves even after all that ruckus. However, Jiho maintains that Sia may as well be a replacement stalker for behaving the way she did last night. He still doesn't want her to be involved in his affairs and wants to be left alone. That means no handshake for you, Sia, you bad girl. Sia is defiant. There's no way she'll lose her beloved prey this way. Irritated by Sia's persistence, Jiho asks her what she wants from him, to which Sia exclaims that she likes him. She's referring to her scrumptious energy, of course, but she will never admit that and risk revealing her true nature. What a crazy, beautiful woman, Jiho thought as he opened his work computer. There's no way he'll fall for someone as filthy as Sia though. It seems Jiho is a magnet for bad news, as he reads an email informing him that the order of the children's book he wrote has been cancelled. After pouring her heart out to Baryu, Sia walks home while talking to her mom on the phone. She should have followed her mom's advice to be careful when touching other people. Otherwise, Sia wouldn't be in this awkward situation with Jiho. She is stopped in her tracks when she sees Jiho waiting for her outside her door. She's even more surprised when he asks to talk with her privately. It's about the box that was misdelivered to her apartment. Ah, yes. Sweet, sweet revenge. She has planned this all along, just in case Jiho asks for his box. She enters her apartment, locks the door, and talks to Jiho through the intercom. She uses the situation to her advantage and bribes Jiho with the books in exchange for meeting with her once a week. Back at his apartment, Jiho scrubs the glass door clean while being riddled with anxiety over Sia's sudden confession and her demand to see him weekly. Of course, he was forced to agree with their arrangement with his livelihood on the line. He goes to their meeting place and is greeted by Sia, all dressed up for the occasion. So they go on a date before Sia returns his precious books. What a cunning vampire! Modern vampires now feed on human energy instead of blood. Make no mistake though, they are just as ruthless. Look no further than Sia, who persistently asks for the distant Jiho to let her touch him. Now that she has secured a weekly meeting with him, she sets her sights on getting even closer. It's unclear if Jiho will give in, but no matter, vampires will always find a way.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.